There's something deeply unsettling about people who vanish. Not just disappear, but unravel in real time, right in front of a camera. Lars Mittank was just an ordinary guy, a 28-year-old from northern Germany, on a simple vacation with friends. No enemies, no drama, just sunshine, cheap beer, and football matches. But what happened next? Somewhere along that trip, something changed. He started acting paranoid, anxious, and convinced someone was following him. And then, without warning, he ran. Straight through a crowded airport, like his life depended on it. He left behind his phone, his passport, and even his wallet, and just vanished into thin air. That was the last time anyone saw Lars Mittank alive. Lars Mittank wasn't the kind of man anyone expected to just vanish. He was 28 years old, from a small town called Itzehoe in northern Germany. He worked at a power plant and lived a simple life. He had no criminal record, no history of mental illness, no warning signs. He had a girlfriend. He stayed close with his mom, calling her almost every day. And his bond with his father was especially strong, even more so after his dad suffered a stroke. He wasn't the type to cause trouble. In fact, he often put others before himself. But in the summer of 2014, that steady, quiet version of Lars started to fall apart, piece by piece. Something in him shifted. In June 2014, Lars joined a group of friends on a cheap, all-inclusive holiday to the Golden Sands Resort in Varna, Bulgaria, a place known for its nightlife and budget parties. It was meant to be his first trip away with his friends. Just beaches, beer, and football. But around July 6th, just days into the trip, something strange happened. Lars got into an argument with another group of German men, allegedly over football. Lars supported Werder Bremen, and the other guys didn't. Later that night, he separated from his friends. When he returned the next morning, he said he'd been attacked by 4 men, possibly connected to that earlier argument. He claimed they'd beaten him up and injured his ear. One of his friends noticed his jaw looked swollen, and Lars said he was in pain. They suggested he see a doctor, but that's when things really began to unravel. Lars visited a local doctor and was diagnosed with a ruptured eardrum. The doctor warned him not to fly because it could worsen the injury and prescribed him a common antibiotic, cefprozil. Then something unexpected happened. Lars told his friends to fly home without him. He insisted he'd be fine on his own, that he'd wait and catch a later flight, once he had healed. That decision marked the beginning of a terrifying, unexplainable nightmare. Lars checked into a cheap hotel near the airport, Hotel Color, a low-budget spot mainly used for layovers. That night, he called his mother multiple times. But this wasn't small talk. He was whispering. He told her he was scared, that people were trying to rob him, or maybe even kill him. He asked her to cancel his credit cards immediately. And then he vanished from the hotel for hours in the middle of the night. No one knows where he went. When he returned, he looked different, anxious, guarded. He refused to eat the food offered by hotel staff, claiming it was tainted. He barely slept. He paced the halls, stared out windows, kept checking the door, like he was being hunted. On July 8th, Lars texted his mother again. He said he was ready to come home. So he took a taxi to Varna Airport and visited the on-site doctor to check his ear one last time. The doctor he's seen, Dr. Kostov, said Lars seemed calm at first. But then something happened. A construction worker entered the medical room, just a regular guy doing routine maintenance. But to Lars, something about this man set off a wave of panic. He stood up suddenly, said something like, "I don't want to die here. I need to get out of here." And then he ran, not walked, not slipped away. He sprinted like his life depended on it. Out of the doctor's office, out of the terminal. The airport's CCTV cameras caught every second. Lars running at full speed, leaving behind everything. His backpack, his wallet, his phone, even his passport, all abandoned. He ran across the parking lot, across the grass, then vanished into the dark, dense trees surrounding the airport. And just like that, Lars disappeared. As Lars vanished beyond the tree line, chaos erupted at Varna Airport. Staff scrambled, trying to make sense of what just happened. Security guards sprinted after him, shouting his name, but he was already gone, swallowed by the dense underbrush surrounding the airport. They searched the woods thoroughly, calling for Lars again and again, but the only response was silence. His backpack, wallet, phone, and even his passport were all left behind inside the terminal, as if he disappeared mid-flight from reality itself. Authorities were notified immediately. Police arrived and launched a search party that scoured the area for hours, combing through every inch of the forest. But they found no sign of Lars. No footprints leading away, no broken branches, nothing to indicate which direction he had gone or what might have happened to him. It was as if he simply vanished into thin air. That was until something stranger happened. In the late evening, hours after Lars frantically ran from the airport, a strange phone call came through to local police. It was from Lars, or someone claiming to be him. The call was traced to a public payphone near the airport, a few kilometers from where he disappeared. His voice was shaky, panicked, barely above a whisper. He told the operator he was being followed by unknown figures, by something he couldn't explain. He described an overwhelming feeling of dread and paranoia, saying that they were watching him, closing in. He begged for help, but refused to say exactly who they were or why they wanted him. The call abruptly ended, leaving the listener with more questions than answers. Days turned into weeks with no sign of Lars. His family and friends were left grappling with confusion and fear. How could a calm, ordinary man like Lars run away in terror and vanish without a trace? What was he running from? And was it something human or something else entirely? There are several theories as to what happened. Some believe Lars's frantic escape was triggered by something inside his own mind. A rare, extreme reaction to the antibiotic cefprozil he was prescribed. In rare cases, certain medications mixed with stress, heat, or dehydration can cause sudden psychosis. Others think maybe this was the first sign of a mental break. Schizophrenia often strikes men in their late 20s, just like Lars. Though he showed no previous symptoms, mental illness can emerge suddenly and violently, turning the calm into chaos in an instant. But if it was all in his head, why did he leave everything behind in such a panic? Why run like his life depended on it? Maybe Lars wasn't just scared of himself. What if the fear was real and someone was actually following him? Was the man who entered the clinic that day just a regular construction worker? Or was Lars sensing a threat no one else saw? Rumors swirl that Lars might have stumbled onto something or someone he wasn't supposed to. Maybe the people who attacked him earlier had come back, or some shadowy figure was waiting in the wings. The dread in Lars's eyes wasn't paranoia if there was truly a hunter in the shadows. People also think Lars made a choice. What if he ran because he was desperate to escape something or someone? A sudden, desperate break from a life that had become unbearable. But even if this is the case, how do you vanish completely with no phone, no wallet, no ID? Could someone really start over with nothing but sheer will? The thought of a man disappearing into thin air with nothing to his name raises more questions than answers. And then, there's the darkest possibility of all. Airports are a crossroads, and sadly hotspots for human trafficking and abduction. Was Lars being watched, trapped in a web of something far more sinister? His frantic run, leaving everything behind, could have been a last-ditch escape attempt. But maybe it was already too late. The thought that something or someone was waiting just beyond the trees, ready to snatch him away, haunts every step of his story. More than 10 years later, and there are no leads, no footage, no sightings. His face has been shared across Reddit, YouTube, and news sites for years. But the mystery remains. Lars Mittank vanished in broad daylight, at a public airport, surrounded by people, and just like that, he was gone. What pushed a calm, healthy man to run from everything he knew? Was he being hunted? Was he already lost in his mind? Or was it something even darker? Let me know what you think happened in the comments. And if you want more real-life disappearances and unexplained cases like this, hit subscribe and stay tuned.